5 breaths of time, while one might say it's but a fleeting moment, for a cultivator, 5 breaths are only slightly slower than the speed at which lightning crosses the sky. The idea of ending a battle within 5 breaths was something that neither the elders of the Dragon Armor tribe nor the elder of the Fire Sparrow clan, nor even Mozhe, would believe. Once those 5 breaths had passed, it would be impossible to finish the fight. After all, the enemy Wang Lin faced was none other than Mozhe. However, the moment Wang Lin heard this, his eyes blazed with a fierce light, and the word, "one," echoed from the void. Before its reverberation had fully faded, Wang Lin swiftly waved both his hands outward, unleashing all his cultivation. Time-worn and desolate, this technique was one Mozhe had comprehended during the time seal, and it shared some similarities with Wang Lin's flowing moon technique. As it was unleashed, the restriction storm immediately roared to life, rapidly expanding outward. The reversed world within this growing storm began to tremble violently, the sky turning a withered yellow, with ominous boils emerging in the air. As these boils burst one by one, dark yellow, viscous fluid spilled out, tainting the heavens. The earth roared and cracked, fissures appearing everywhere, and beneath these cracked surfaces lay a desolate, deathly aura. The earth seemed to be aging at a terrifying speed, collapsing layer by layer. All of this occurred in the blink of an eye, as the world above and below collapsed in the time seal with an explosive force. In that instant of collapse, the time seal vortex suddenly swept through, engulfing the crumbling world, transforming it into an indescribable force of destruction, rushing straight toward Wang Lin. At the same time, the lingering sound of the word, "one," reached its peak, and Wang Lin's cultivation surged to its limits. A bright light erupted from his body, and in Wang Lin's eyes, the entire starry sky, the cultivation star, and all beings, everything radiated with a blinding glow, rapidly converging around his body to form a massive light shadow. The light and shadow shield. Just as the time storm drew near, the shield took shape and collided violently with the storm. The massive light shadow around Wang Lin flickered rapidly as the time seal enveloped it, causing Wang Lin's time flow technique to increase exponentially in power. This time seal technique, if used by someone else, would be nearly impossible to resist. But Wang Lin was different. Not only did he understand the time seal, but he had also comprehended his own second divine technique, flowing moon. In the instant of the time storm's collision, Wang Lin waved his right hand. The earth shook violently as a massive stone door suddenly appeared behind him. The door exuded an overwhelming aura of desolation, fusing with Wang Lin's body. From a distance, Wang Lin appeared to be standing on this stone door, cloaked in the passage of time, unyielding as the heavens and earth raged around him, his body unmoving, except for his long hair and robes billowing in the wind, exuding an ethereal aura. In that instant, the light and shadow shield exploded with immense power. As its brilliance soared, a series of refracted forces surged forth, causing Mozhe's expression to change. Without hesitation, he took a step forward, raising his right hand to strike fiercely at the air toward Wang Lin. With this strike, a massive palm imprint appeared, shattering the surrounding atmosphere. This palm, infused with the full force of Mozhe's fifth heavenly decay, carried an overwhelming killing intent, smashing through the outer layer of the light and shadow shield and landing squarely on its surface. The thunderous crashing sounds reverberated across the world, spreading outward in all directions. The light and shadow shield trembled violently before it shattered, but in that moment of destruction, Wang Lin's low growl resonated, and a second light and shadow shield formed. This cycle repeated 3 times within the span of a single breath. After the third shield shattered, it took with it much of the palm imprint's force and the time seal power, reflecting them towards Mozhe with a tremendous shockwave. 2. The voice from the void echoed again. Only 3 breaths remain. Every cultivator on the cultivation star who was able to perceive this battle with their divine sense did not believe Wang Lin could win in the next 3 breaths. As the word 2 resonated, a cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. The light and shadow shield shattered, and although he was also knocked back by the impact and spurted blood, he threw his head back in a wild roar and charged forward. In that moment of charging, Wang Lin unleashed his killing move. His speed was unfathomable. As he burst forth, lightning flickered in his right eye, and the thunderclap mark in his pupil transformed. 9 accompanying thunderbolts spun around it, and with his roar, a thunderous explosion erupted, forming a massive thunder diagram in front of him. The thunder diagram was earth-shattering, its origin thunder profound and overwhelming. The 9 accompanying thunders produced deafening sounds, especially the last 3, the extreme calamity thunder, bloodline thunder, and reverse fate thunder. These three thunders unleashed unimaginable power, making the thunder diagram glow with brilliance. In an instant, countless silver serpents surged through the heavens, intertwining with thunder and lightning, enveloping the sky, all converging towards the thunder diagram. This towering thunder diagram was earth-shattering. After appearing, Wang Lin thrust his hands forward with great force, as he had once done when striking the Gate of Void in his third step, launching an attack towards Mozhe. The thunder diagram filled the world, racing straight at Mozhe. Mozhe's expression grew exceedingly grave. He had pursued this path, fully aware that the most formidable power of his opponent lay in their thunder techniques. Although he had never witnessed this technique in action or faced it directly, merely witnessing a scene from the True Word Clan's cultivation star was enough to send chills down his spine. At that moment, seeing the thunder diagram, memories of the thunderous assault on the Gate of Void flooded his mind. He swiftly formed hand seals, and with a wave of his hands, the time seal transformed once again into a storm that surrounded him tightly. Let's see whether your thunder might is stronger, or if my time seal proves more effective. Wang Lin moved like lightning, stepping forth to propel the towering thunder diagram, drawing upon the boundless thunder and lightning that filled the heavens, as if he were supporting the celestial thunder, manifesting an everlasting bolt of lightning that charged like a heavenly tribulation towards Mozhe. The two drew closer in an instant, and just then, a voice emanating from the void echoed once more. 3. At the very moment the word 3 resonated, Wang Lin melded into the towering thunder diagram, his figure vanishing and becoming indistinguishable from the thunder diagram, suddenly colliding with the storm created by Mozhe's time seal. A deafening roar erupted, shaking the heavens and earth, echoing in all directions. Under the fierce impact, Mozhe's restriction storm trembled violently, crumbling suddenly as if being torn apart by a great force. The lightning surged and swept back towards Mozhe. As the energy rolled back, the thunder spread out, and the thunder diagram drew perilously close. Everything unfolded at breakneck speed. In a flash, the thunder diagram struck Mozhe's chest, causing his complexion to turn ashen as he coughed up blood, staggering backward. Lightning coursed across his chest, crackling ominously, further exacerbating his injuries as he retreated. An expression of terror crossed his face. Despite having overestimated Wang Lin's lightning power, he still couldn't believe the overwhelming might that could split the heavens and earth. Time itself was crumbling before that thunder. In that moment of collision between lightning and the storm of the time seal, Wang Lin also felt the time seal sweep over him, aging him instantaneously, as if he had become an old man in an instant. But with the next breath, an overwhelming vital energy erupted from within Wang Lin, reversing the effects of aging and restoring him to his former self. However, he looked exceptionally pale, clearly showing that battling with a third-step great power was immensely challenging for him. As he witnessed Mozhe retreat, a glint of cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and murderous intent surged within him as he stepped forward to chase. Just then, the voice from the void echoed once more throughout the expanse. 4. Before the voice could finish, Wang Lin let out a long roar, as if breaking its flow, shooting forward like a rainbow piercing the sky, catching up to the retreating Mozhe with thunderous speed, and suddenly swung his hands outward. Immediately, a golden elixir, about the size of a fingernail, appeared from the void, racing towards Mozhe at an unimaginable velocity, closing the distance to less than 10 yards in the blink of an eye. Explode. Before the golden elixir could approach any further, Wang Lin shouted without hesitation. As his yell reverberated, a booming sound erupted, akin to a cultivation star detonating, transforming into an endless wave of sound, which unleashed a force of destruction. Mozhe was too close. He once again spat blood amidst the shockwave, his eyes wide with amazement. He hadn't expected the opponent to possess such a formidable magical artifact. As the golden elixir exploded, it enveloped him, his flesh feeling like it was being ripped apart, and even his bones felt as if they might break. Were it not for his true body being a third-step great power, having gathered an abundance of materials and expended immense effort to forge an almost indestructible form of defense for his avatar, an ordinary practitioner would have collapsed under such a force. This avatar was created by Mozhe after realizing that his cultivation had stagnated at the early stage of glimpse of nirvana and having insufficient Tao spirits. He refined it to ensure that his avatar could reach the third-step great power without ever advancing his own supernatural abilities. At this moment, buffeted by the explosion of the elixir, his avatar was thrown backward, and Wang Lin stepped forward again, his right hand waving, revealing the greatly compressed flame crystal that flickered into being. Explode! Wang Lin almost roared, and as the flame crystal closed in on Mozhe, there was a booming sound, which coincided with the previous golden elixir's explosion, unleashing a second wave of destruction. All of this takes a long time to explain, but in reality, it happened in an instant. Not good. The Dragon Scale clan leader stared intently, his divine sense closely observing the battle. At the moment he saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. He retreated frantically, and a deathly crisis suddenly descended, as though an invisible pressure was about to crush his entire body. The collapse of the flame crystal was even more intense than the dragon-shattering pill. It contained the fire of heaven and earth, and under Wang Lin's control, it had been compressed countless times, forming a deathly force powerful enough to threaten a fifth decay of heaven and man cultivator. Injured, Mozhe was about to retreat when Wang Lin's thunderous shout of "Explode!" shook the heavens. In an instant, the flame crystal erupted, emitting a blinding light that covered the entire cultivation star, coloring the entire world. Mozhe screamed in agony as his body was illuminated by this light, immediately catching fire. The flames were deep blue, not burning his clothes but consuming his flesh and primordial spirit. The heart-wrenching, agonizing screams were enough to shake anyone who heard them to their core. If it had ended there, it would have been one thing. But after withstanding Wang Lin's two deadly moves, Mozhe was heavily injured yet still not dead. His eyes were vacant, filled with fear like never before. The only thought in his mind was to escape. Escape! Escape! But as soon as that thought arose, blood began to spread from within the flames, rushing out like fresh blood, crashing through the heavens and earth. At the same time, a sword cry echoed across the world, and in the blink of an eye, a short sword flew out from the bloodlight, heading straight for Mozhe. The speed of this short sword was so fast that it couldn't be seen with the naked eye, and even divine sense couldn't lock onto it. It seemed to defy the laws of the universe, rapidly closing in on Mozhe. Severely injured, Mozhe had no way to dodge. With a deafening boom, the bloodlight sword pierced through his chest. Blood sprayed from both the front and back of his body, and pounding sounds echoed from within him. Yet, he was still not dead. Instead, he retreated hastily. Mozhe's clone, being a fifth decay of heaven and man cultivator, was not so easily killed. Wang Lin had made thorough preparations for this battle, dragon-shattering pill, flame crystal, countless sword energies, and at the most crucial moment, the bloodlight sword. In this short time, Wang Lin had used everything he had, though he still couldn't kill the fifth decay of heaven and man cultivator in one blow. However, to have injured him to this extent was enough for Wang Lin to stand tall in both the inner and outer realms. It's important to note that Wang Lin was still only at the perfection of his first source. If he reached the perfection of his second, third, fourth, or fifth source, he would be strong enough to rival even a third-step great power, even without opening the gate of void. Seeing that Mozhe was not dead, Wang Lin's expression darkened. He stepped forward, raising his right hand and pointing to the sky, preparing to cast his divine art to chase him down. But at that moment, the voice from the void echoed again. "My land of falling stars is not somewhere you can come and go as you please." As the word spread, Mozhe had already reached the edge of the sky. His body rippled with waves, and he was about to vanish in an instant. But just as this happened, the sky rumbled, and a twisted phenomenon appeared. Invisible waves of energy suddenly spiraled up, forming a massive vortex. As Mozhe's figure was about to disappear, a finger suddenly shot out from this vast vortex and slammed down onto Mozhe below. This finger was massive, seemingly as tall as the heavens themselves. Made of energy waves, it appeared transparent from afar, but it was still distinct from the sky. Its descent was so rapid that it defied description, and in an instant, it was already closing in on Mozhe. It was as if the earth itself was about to be punctured, the starry sky about to be shattered by a single finger. Amid Mozhe's desperate, shrill scream, the finger landed with a deafening crash. He couldn't dodge. He couldn't escape. It felt as though an indescribable power had appeared in the world, freezing all his movements. Even if he tried to escape instantly, it was completely halted. At the tip of the finger, Mozhe's body shook violently, blood sprayed out, and his body was covered in cracks. Grotesque veins spread across him, and with a final boom, his body shattered into countless fragments. His primordial spirit also shattered into pieces, vanishing along with his flesh and blood in the vast expanse of heaven and earth. The wind blew, carrying the scent of blood, lingering in the air, refusing to dissipate. The voice from the void never appeared again. As the finger slowly retracted into the sky's vortex, it eventually vanished, and the world gradually returned to its previous state, as if nothing had ever happened. On the cultivation star, there was complete silence. The elder of the Fire Sparrow clan and his clan members stared blankly at everything before them, still in disbelief and shock. The young clan leader of the Dragon Scale clan had a grim expression, a hint of fear and regret visible. His heart racing, he hurriedly retreated and quickly stood beside his father. "Father Lord, this is bad. This person seems to be favored by the great emperor. His father, the Dragon Scale clan leader, wore a grim expression as he gazed at the sky. Interrupting his son's words, he spoke in a deep voice. "What's the hurry?" Although Mozhe's fifth decay clone was indeed strong enough to severely injure and force back the celestial Mozhe, he's certainly formidable, and I am no match for him. But as the ninth elder of the Falling Life Society, loyal to the Great Emperor, this mere outsider, forget whether the Great Emperor has confirmed his words about the 5 breaths. Should he provoke me, the Emperor would surely eliminate him. He wouldn't dare come looking for trouble. If I were him, I'd immediately leave and find a place to recover. Wang Lin hovered in midair, exhaling deeply. Although his brief battle with Mozhe's clone had been intense, it left him injured. What kept Wang Lin on alert, however, was the attitude of the Great Emperor. Even though Mozhe's clone is severely wounded, being able to kill him with a single finger shows that the Great Emperor's cultivation is undoubtedly above that of Water Path Master. I wonder how he compares to Blue Dream Dao Sovereign. Moreover, this person seems to be helping me. Wang Lin's gaze flickered slightly. He had initially planned to leave, as his injuries needed immediate attention. But as Wang Lin's eyes fell upon the ground of the cultivation star, a cold light flashed. The ninth elder of the Falling Life Society, daring to assist Mozhe means he's my enemy. The ninth elder. I must see where the Emperor's bottom line lies. Wang Lin, whose personality demanded vengeance, did not care if others left him alone. However, once someone actively sought trouble, he rarely let it slide. With a cold snort, he turned and shot like a meteor toward the Dragon Scale clan. His speed was so fast that it resembled a rainbow crossing the sky, creating a deafening roar, startling every cultivator on the cultivation star. After witnessing Wang Lin's battle with Mozhe's clone, no one dared to intervene. The young clan leader of the Dragon Scale clan turned pale, instinctively retreating a few steps and stammering, "Father Lord, he. The Dragon Scale clan leader's heart lurched, and he cursed inwardly. He hadn't expected the other party to dare provoke him. Though shaken, his expression turned grim as he recalled the opponent's injured state. All second-step cultivators of the Dragon Scale clan, stop anyone from stepping into our territory. His voice boomed, and immediately, the Dragon Scale clan stirred with powerful auras. Nearly 10 second-step cultivators flew out, preparing to stop him. However, just as they did, the heavens trembled, and a meteor-like flash of lightning appeared. With a single step, Wang Lin appeared above the Dragon Scale clan. The moment those second-step cultivators rose, he raised his right hand and slammed it downward. "Get out of my way." The cold voice shook the heavens. As Wang Lin's palm descended, a massive palm imprint manifested, crashing downward with tremendous force. Each of the 10 second-step Dragon Scale cultivators who met the palm imprint immediately spat blood, their bodies twisting violently, with 3 of them being crushed to pieces. They couldn't stop it at all. The palm imprint pierced through them and crashed into the ground with a thunderous boom, causing the very earth to quake. and the entire Dragon Scale clan territory began to collapse. A mere small clan dares to scheme against Wang Lin? Seeking death. Wang Lin sneered as he descended, his gaze like a hawk's, locking onto the pale-faced Dragon Scale clan father and son. The Dragon Scale clan leader's eyes widened in shock. He had never expected Wang Lin to possess such power despite his injuries. That single palm earlier, he had no confidence in withstanding it. Wang Lin's expression was icy as he raised his right hand and pointed to the sky. Immediately, lightning crackled and gathered around him. The Dragon Scale clan leader's face paled, grabbing his son and retreating. He yelled in panic, "You dare kill me? I am the 9th elder of the Falling Life Society, appointed by the Great Emperor himself. Even if you just injure me, the Emperor will have you torn to pieces." Just then, from the farthest reaches of the sky, a sword light came hurtling toward them. This sword light was so dazzling it looked like a rainbow obscuring the sky, charging straight toward them in an instant. Upon seeing the long rainbow sword light, the Dragon Scale clan leader's panic faded, replaced by ecstatic joy. The Great Emperor's envoy. Ha ha ha, the Great Emperor's envoy has arrived. You, a mere outsider, dared to provoke the Falling Life Society. You're dead today. Not only did the Dragon Scale clan leader show delight, but his son also sighed in relief, his face showing joy. Wang Lin raised his head, not in a rush to act, but coldly watching. From the rainbow of sword light, a middle-aged man in a crimson robe stepped out. There was no aura of cultivation around him. Even Wang Lin couldn't detect anything, indicating that he had mastered some sort of technique to conceal his cultivation. The 9th elder of the Falling Life Society, I salute the Great Emperor's envoy. With the envoy's arrival, you must certainly uphold justice for me. The Dragon Scale clan leader bowed deeply, and his son followed suit, showing the utmost respect. The middle-aged man's expression was cold. With a wave of his hand, a red jade slip appeared in his palm. By the Emperor's decree, the Dragon Armor Tribe's clan leader's expression stirred. He bowed his head even lower in reverence. Strip him of his title as clan leader of the Dragon Armor Tribe and 9th elder of the Falling Life Society. Grant him one pill. He is to take it immediately. The middle-aged man flicked his sleeve, and a black pill flew directly toward the clan leader. The clan leader's body trembled. His face turned deathly pale as he stood frozen, staring blankly at the black pill floating before him. A death poison pill. This. The middle-aged man's expression remained calm as he slowly said, "There are some people you were never meant to provoke or manipulate. And for that, there is a price to pay." As he finished, his gaze shifted toward Wang Lin. The coldness vanished from his face, replaced by a smile as he respectfully cupped his fist and said, "Your humble servant greets the young emperor." Not only him, but even the Dragon Armor Tribe's young master standing beside him turned pale, his soul trembling, eyes wide in disbelief and confusion. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, but his expression remained unchanged. His cold gaze swept across the emissary. "Young emperor?" The emissary's respectful smile deepened as he quickly bowed with cupped fists. "The Great Emperor has issued a decree to all tribes across the land of falling stars. You are the appointed young emperor, chosen personally by the Great Emperor, standing above the 13 elders of the Falling Life Society." Wang Lin remained silent. At that moment, the Dragon Armor Tribe's clan leader clutched the pill with a bitter expression. After a long silence, he spoke softly to the emissary. "Sir, could you spare the life of my only son?" The smile disappeared from the emissary's face, replaced by cold indifference. "I am only here to deliver the pill and convey the Great Emperor's decree. The lives of others are not my concern." Despair filled the clan leader's eyes. He turned to his son, who stood dazed and trembling beside him. Gritting his teeth, he bowed deeply to Wang Lin. His voice was low and bitter, yet full of reverence. "Why, young emperor, my previous offense was unforgivable. I beg you, please show mercy and spare my son. I will bear all consequences alone. Please, your majesty." As he spoke, he suddenly raised his head. His right hand lashed out, seizing his son. The young man cried out in shock and agony. The clan leader's primordial energy surged violently into his son's body, overwhelming it with thunderous bursts. With terrifying force, he shattered his son's meridians and destroyed his essence spirit, stripping him of all cultivation in an instant, reducing him to a mere mortal. The pain was unbearable. The young man vomited blood, his face ashen, his body twisted and warped as his internal energies violently dispersed. He passed out from the agony. "Your Majesty, my son is now crippled. He will never cultivate again, nor pose any threat to you." I beg you, grant him his life. The clan leader pleaded, bowing low, his voice filled with sorrow. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then gave a slight nod. Gratitude washed over the clan leader's face. With a wave of his hand, he moved his unconscious son to a secure place below. Taking a deep breath, he swallowed the pill without hesitation. The pill melted instantly, transforming into black flame that surged into his body. It burned wildly within him, filled with a sinister aura. In just a moment, it incinerated his essence, spirit, his flesh, his bones, everything. From the outside, his entire body turned red, with black flame bursting from every pore. In mere seconds, he became a black fireball, and when the flames faded, not even ash remained. What kind of fire is this? Wang Lin's pupils shrank sharply. A stunned silence swept across the entire cultivation star. Many had witnessed the scene, and their hearts trembled. The great emperor's authority in the land of falling stars was like that of a god. None dared defy it. Especially the surrounding dragon armor tribe members. Each one bowed their heads, their eyes full of fear. A cultivator at the fourth decay of heaven and man would be considered exceptional within the inner realm, and even here in the outer realm, such a person would easily become a clan elder, enjoying immense status. Yet with just one decree, he dared not resist, willingly swallowing poison to his death. The great emperor's power has clearly rooted itself deeply into the hearts of all, and giving that poison pill, was it not meant as a warning to me? With the clan leader's death, the matter was deemed resolved. The emissary once again smiled and respectfully cupped his fists toward Wang Lin. The dragon armor tribe cannot go long without a leader. I ask that the young emperor appoint a new clan leader. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. Without a change in expression, he casually pointed his right hand toward a young cultivator in the distance, one at the glimpse of Nirvana stage. He will do. The young man, still trembling from witnessing his former clan leader's death and the great emperor's might, was stunned. For a brief moment, he seemed lost. One breath earlier, he was in a living hell, and in the next, it was as if he had ascended to the immortal realm. The drastic change was so overwhelming that the person didn't even have time to react. He was not the highest-ranking cultivator in the dragon armor tribe, and under normal circumstances, he would never become the tribe leader. He would only remain as an elder. However, after being pointed at by Wang Lin, the young man felt his heart stirred with an enormous wave of emotions. His body trembled, his eyes shone with wild joy, and he became even more excited. He quickly stepped forward and respectfully clasped his hands, stammering, Thank you, young emperor, for your favor. From now on, the dragon armor tribe will obey your commands. If you order the annihilation of the tribe, I will carry it out. Aye. Wang Lin waved his hand, cutting off the man's words, and calmly said, Bring me all the dragon-shattering pills, flame crystals, and puppets from your tribe. I want to take them. The young man immediately agreed. He would have readily retrieved even the primordial souls of the dragon armor tribe's members for Wang Lin. Becoming the tribe leader was an immense fortune for him. At this moment, he had completely disregarded the former tribe leader's death and was fully immersed in his excitement and thrill, even trying to win Wang Lin's favor. The middle-aged man among the imperial envoys bowed to Wang Lin and said with a smile, Young emperor, I must take my leave now to report back to the great emperor. As he spoke, he flipped his right hand and took out a green jade pendant, respectfully handing it to Wang Lin. Your Excellency, this jade pendant is a token from the great emperor, representing your identity. Wherever this pendant is, it's as if the great emperor himself is present. No one dares harm you in the land of falling stars. The great emperor also said that you must attend the elder selection at the Falling Life Society in 3 months. After presenting the jade pendant, the envoy bowed respectfully and left, turning into a streak of light, vanishing into the distant horizon. Wang Lin took the jade pendant and examined it carefully. The material was quite ordinary, but it had the character, Emperor, engraved on it. The strokes were simple, as if written in one continuous motion, giving off a sense of ancientness. One could even feel a strange force emanating from it upon closer inspection. Beyond the falling star domain, within the ancient stars, at the moment of Mozhe's avatar's death, within a massive rift where Mozhe's true body resided, his eyes suddenly opened wide, shocking energy flashing from them. As his eyes opened and closed, brilliant light surged forth, like lightning cutting through the dark void of the rift. The surrounding area shook with a deafening roar, as if the rift itself might collapse. A fierce aura erupted from Mozhe's true body, transforming into a storm that surrounded him and rapidly spread outward. His robes fluttered, his long hair swirled, and his expression grew dark as his killing intent and coldness began to take over, replacing the previous gleam in his eyes. The death of his avatar had no impact on his cultivation. The avatar was a product of his later efforts, created to act as a third-step powerhouse when he could not break through. However, the avatar's death ruined his plan, causing the thoughts he had spent so long developing to shatter. It was as if all his years of effort had been destroyed in an instant. Fallen Emperor. Mozhe gritted his teeth, his expression twisted with fury. And that thunder cultivator, he not only possesses the thunder origin, but also a trace of fire origin. How could he know my name from back then? Could he be from the inner realm? Mozhe's eyes flickered, his right hand raised, and he tore violently at the rift. With a deafening sound, the rift was forcefully torn open. Mozhe stood up, took a step forward, and reached down into the newly created gap with a low shout. 7 colored divine void nails appear. Instantly, the colorful gleam of light flashed out from the rift, illuminating the surrounding darkness. The dazzling light spread rapidly, casting everything in 7-colored radiance. One by one, the 7-colored nails shot out from the gap, floating before Mozhe. In a moment, 29 nails formed a circle around his body, their vibrant glow growing stronger, almost obscuring Mozhe's form, leaving only a blinding 7-colored aura. These 7-colored divine void nails are granted by the Supreme Master. They specialize in slaying third-step powerhouses. I alone cannot resist the fallen emperor, but if the Council of Elders gathers all the third-step powerhouses, we can surely kill him. It all depends on how the Council of Elders decides. Mozhe waved his hand, and the nails disappeared back into his palm. His body moved forward, and he vanished without a trace. Within the Falling Star domain, a group of nearly 1,000 cultivators was hurrying forward, their cultivation levels varying. In the center of the group, about 10 cultivators at the second step surrounded an elder. The elder was dressed in magnificent robes. His appearance was unremarkable, but there was an eerie chill about him. Great Almoner of the Greedy Wolf, the cultivation star of the Dark Scorpion clan, is not far ahead. We have confirmed that the eternal scorpion corpse you seek is most likely there. The elder, surrounded by the group, nodded slightly, his expression cold and arrogant. He said proudly, "Good. If this is true, you all will surely benefit." As soon as those words were spoken, the surrounding cultivators immediately lit up with joy. Had anyone else said this, they might have remained cautious. But the one who spoke was Greedy Wolf. Over the years, within the Falling Star domain, who didn't know of Greedy Wolf? Greedy Wolf never goes where there are no treasures. This phrase had been proven time and again by the cultivators of the land of Falling Stars. Whatever he offered was never subpar. Yet he was no ordinary man. Time after time, Greedy Wolf stunned the realm. The pills and magical artifacts he unveiled stirred up waves across the land. Though his cultivation level wasn't high, he was sly and cunning, and the divine abilities he wielded were unusually bizarre and often devastatingly powerful. Protected by magical artifacts, he was notoriously hard to capture, even by those much stronger than him. He was especially known for a particular escape technique. At a moment's flicker, his speed surged 97-fold. Ordinary pursuers didn't stand a chance. Ever cautious, Greedy Wolf would flee the moment danger loomed, avoiding most crises altogether. As time passed, for reasons unknown, his cultivation advanced steadily. Before anyone realized it, he had reached the realm of pure nirvana. His divine abilities grew even stranger and more unpredictable. Eventually, some powerful figures from the various clans of the Land of Falling Stars began to take interest and to plot. When they finally launched a manhunt, confident of his imminent death, Greedy Wolf did something no one expected. He unleashed a trove of never-before-seen magical artifacts. Each one possessed earth-shaking divine power. Of the 3 shattered Nirvana cultivators who had pursued him, one was killed outright, while the other 2 escaped with severe injuries. This incident sent shockwaves through the entire land of Falling Stars. No one could believe it. A pure Nirvana cultivator had not only survived a coordinated attack by 3 shattered Nirvana cultivators, but had killed one of them. Greedy Wolf's name spread like wildfire, becoming infamous overnight. But the clan of the slain cultivator burned with fury. Though they had no elder from the Falling Life Society, they were still a formidable force. To take Greedy Wolf down, they dispatched a cultivator at the level of the first decay of heaven and man. To have such a cultivator hunt down someone in the pure nirvana stage was like a tiger crushing an ant underfoot, an absolute slaughter. News of it caused a sensation at the time. Everyone believed Greedy Wolf's fate was sealed. And yet, miraculously, Greedy Wolf survived again. In that critical moment, he revealed another magical artifact, one that would go on to inspire countless rumors. Most of these described the artifact as a broken statue. When the statue appeared, it shook the entire land of falling stars. Thick clouds engulfed the star domain, and ancient, earth-shattering roars echoed through the skies, roars that seemed to come from the distant primordial era. Under the might of this artifact, even the first decay cultivator was utterly annihilated. If that had been all, it might have been explainable, but the force of destruction released was so terrifying that it shocked even the cultivators undergoing the heavenly decay tribulation. That power could destroy even a cultivator of the third decay, and even those at the fourth decay might not walk away unscathed without extraordinary effort. No one could be sure if this was Greedy Wolf's strongest artifact, or if there were even greater ones hidden in his possession. The magical treasures he wielded defied all imagination. No one could fathom how a pure nirvana cultivator could wield artifacts capable of killing those undergoing the heavenly decay tribulation. After that battle, Greedy Wolf vanished from the public eye. Rumors claimed that the fallen emperor greatly admired him and had personally sought him out. Greedy Wolf, seizing the opportunity, presented another artifact to the emperor, who in return granted him a cultivation-boosting elixir. Years later, Greedy Wolf reappeared before the world, now at the mid-shattered nirvana stage. His return drew the attention of even some cultivators who had reached the fourth decay of heaven and man. One such cultivator, driven by greed for Greedy Wolf's treasures, attempted to seize them by force, but was gravely injured and forced to retreat. With that, Greedy Wolf's legend grew even greater. No one dared make another move against him. Over time, the saying Greedy Wolf is rich in treasure began to spread. Beyond divine abilities and artifacts, Greedy Wolf possessed another astounding gift. Wherever he appeared, heavenly treasure materials would surface. Even on a barren savage star, he could somehow unearth treasures that left others speechless. This uncanny ability gave rise to the saying, Greedy Wolf never goes where there are no treasures. But Greedy Wolf had one trait as volatile as a reverse scale. If anyone so much as mentioned it, or showed a strange expression in his presence, they would face his wrath. That taboo was his stench. No one knew what divine technique he had cultivated, but everywhere he went, a foul stench followed. The odor was so overpowering, it could be sensed from far away and lingered long after he'd gone. At this moment, the dozen or so cultivators around Greedy Wolf clearly smelled the unbearable stench, but none of them dared show any signs of discomfort. Their expressions remained respectful. The group moved swiftly, and before long, they saw in the distance the cultivation star where the Dark Scorpion clan resided. Greedy Wolf's eyes gleamed with excitement as he fixed his gaze on the star. Years ago, when he nearly died to come to this outer realm, he had relied solely on his own strength to achieve the current state he was in. His cultivation had grown countless times stronger compared to back then, and even his magical artifacts had been completely replaced over the years. Among these artifacts, some had been obtained at the cost of his life and were incredibly powerful. Now, he was far from the insignificant figure he once was in the inner realm. If he could return, his status would undoubtedly be one of immense prestige. But instead of excitement, there was only a lingering sense of disgust. The foul stench on his body lingered like a shadow, constantly spreading in his heart. Though he could no longer smell it himself, every time he saw the expressions of those around him, it nearly drove him insane. To eliminate the stench, Greedy Wolf had tried many methods, but the odor resided deep within his primordial spirit. It had become deeply ingrained and fused with his essence. No matter what he did, he could not rid himself of it. This agony had tormented him for years, fueling his hatred for Wang Lin, Tian Yunzi, and others, including the moon-gazing beast, which had reached a boiling point. Tian Yunzi, if it weren't for you forcing me to go to Luo Tian back then, how could I have ended up in such a miserable state? And that moon-gazing beast, I swear I will tear its corpse into 1,000 pieces. The most important one is that Wang Lin. This person is my Greedy Wolf's nemesis. He took all my magical artifacts, my teleportation cauldron, my primordial thunder dragon, my rivers and mountains painting, my soul-extracting immortal mountain, and all the other numerous treasures I had collected over tens of thousands of years. He took them all. Every time he thought of this, Greedy Wolf felt a sharp pain in his heart. But for Wang Lin, it wasn't just hatred. There was also a deep-seated fear. After clashing with Wang Lin a few times, Greedy Wolf had developed a subconscious wariness of him. This wariness had, over time, turned into pure fear. Despite his heightened cultivation, the fear had not lessened one bit. If anything, it had only grown stronger. He couldn't explain why, but every time he thought of Wang Lin, his mind would tremble. My destined nemesis. On the Vermilion Bird Star, I had my eye on the heavenly reversal artifact, but in the end, this person took it from me. In the land of demonic spirits, though my cultivation was far superior to his, he devoured my primordial thunder dragon. My thunder dragon! That was the one that had been with me since childhood. If it had remained, after merging with it, I would have become a thunder cultivator. Then, under the pressure from Tian Yunzi and the others, I went to Luotian to find him. But that damned moon-gazing beast swallowed me into its digestive system, and I was tortured for a long time, only to run into Wang Lin again. He took my cauldron, my rivers and mountains painting, took everything. And just when I was about to escape from the moon-gazing beast's grasp, Wang Lin stopped me, causing me to be gravely injured, nearly dead. But heaven had eyes, and I, Greedy Wolf, managed to escape and hide on a cultivation star. Greedy Wolf often reminisced about the past, especially the scenes involving Wang Lin. Those were the root of his torment. He had spent his whole life seeking treasures, but everything he had gathered was snatched away by Wang Lin, and he had nearly died. This had become an inescapable nightmare. Now, I've obtained a new set of artifacts, and my cultivation far surpasses that of my younger years. These artifacts are even stronger than the ones I had before, and I refuse to believe that you, Wang Lin, can break out of the inner realm, come to this ancient star of antiquity, or to the land of falling stars, and take my treasures again. If things in this world could align so perfectly, then you, Wang Lin, would truly be my Greedy Wolf's nemesis. Greedy Wolf sneered, not believing for a moment that what he feared would come true. In his eyes, this was an entirely impossible scenario. This Cloud Evasion clan has a treasure, one that might help eliminate the stench from my body. But I cannot take it from them directly. I must stay within the clan, serving as one of their devotees, until I fully comprehend the treasure. Afterward, with the world at my feet, I can leave at any time, and I won't have to worry about running into that nemesis of mine. Right now, I've already studied the treasure for about 70 to 80%. Once I find the legendary Eternal Scorpion Corpse from the Dark Scorpion clan, I'm 90% sure I can get rid of the moon-gazing beast stench. Greedy Wolf's thoughts were constantly swirling, filled with sadness, especially when he reflected on his life. A deep sense of sorrow overwhelmed him. My treasures from back then. My nemesis, my destined nemesis. Thankfully, I'm in the outer realm, and I won't meet that nemesis. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I'll have to watch as my precious artifacts are stolen again. The wariness Greedy Wolf felt towards Wang Lin came from those haunting nightmares of the past. Even though his cultivation was now much higher, the nightmares still lingered, and the fear of Wang Lin remained deep inside him. It was like a bird once struck by an arrow, nearly dying. Even if it survived, grew stronger, and rose to become the leader of all birds, the memory of that moment, when it was wounded, remained seared into its heart, never fading. For the rest of its life, even the sound of a bowstring would make it tremble. This was a crack in the Dao heart. Unless Greedy Wolf could personally kill Wang Lin and destroy this nightmare, he would live his entire life as a startled bird.